I'm going to stop when I want to stop, not when you want to stop.
In the second episode of Bound to Talk, Malicious Melissa interviews Mistress Italia, a professional dominatrix, and her slave Andy. They discuss their relationship with each other, their personal lives, professional versus lifestyle, nudity, and various fetishes.
Hi, this is Malicious Melissa and my co-host,
Adam.
and our special guest, Mistress Italia,
Hi.
and her slave Andy.
Hello.
Thank you guys for being here. So I wanted to ask you, Mistress Italia, how did you get in BDSM?
I was introduced into BDSM by Adam when I was about 18.
Okay.
And so I got to learn a lot from him. And then once I started the ball rolling, it was just wouldn't stop.
So were you his sub to start?
I did. I started off as a sub. I actually did like a 24/7 power exchange.
Okay.
He was in the military though, so it was intermittent. So you kind of had
So
some
he
time
would
to
go
be in
away?
it, yeah, and then
Okay.
reflect, and then we did a lot of distance stuff, depending on if he was actually accessible where he was at.
So what do you think drew you to BDSM?
I like the power exchange of it, and I like seeing like how into somebody's head you can get, and you really get to see like if people are strong or like what their weaknesses are. I like to really play with the mental aspect of it, and then I also am a bit of a sadomasochist, so that has kept me true to it.
Do you have one role that you prefer over the other?
I usually am dom in most cases. I think a lot of people start out as subs. And
Yeah, for
you
sure.
kind of get a taste of it, and then you're like, oh, I could do this. And that was basically what happened.
What about you? How did you get in BDSM, Andy?
It was like, I think I was young, like probably 16 or 17. I think I came across it on the internet one time. And I was like browsing something like a video, or I think I might have been reading a story, and like something triggered, and it just made me extremely excited. So I did some research and stuff like that, and it was kind of like I didn't really know what it was until I got out from behind the computer, and it kind of got there with age in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I mean, it's kind of like as you grow older, you grow wiser. So like I was like, all right, I got it. If I want this, I gotta go chase it. So that's what I did, and I've loved it ever since. So I've never a dull moment.
And what types of roles do you play, and which are your favorite?
It's just I love pain, making the person that I'm with, happy and satisfied, and trying to please them with what they enjoy doing to the person that they're with, pretty much. So, that's basically what it boils down to. So if I'm making them happy, then that makes me excited and happy as well. So.
Right,
Just
but in
whatever
this,
they're into.
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever they're into, like it doesn't really matter. Like my thing is, I don't have expectations because I think that kind of lets things down. So I kind of go off of what they are into and then feed off of that. So
But you have things that you're into. So let's talk about what you're into.
I mean, I'm into everything. I'm pretty much the type of person that I'll try something before I shoot it down.
Okay.
So, I mean, bondage is great. Spanking is great. I've gotten into like CBT, and I enjoy that as well. I mean, I've kind of like not really experienced it on everything, but it's just like I'm always up to learning more. So, and so that's the good thing, because it's like there's a lot out there.
So what about best scenes? What would you say your best scene is? Can you think of anything?
ever or just in general?
I would say ever, but you can go either way. Anything that really stands out in your mind?
I have done some like public scenes at some play parties that really like they were engaged, like very engaging. Most of them are corporal based or impact play based, and those tend to be like where I shine. Like in my some of my favorite, because I really get to open up and you can kind of push people's limits. So I'd say probably overall those are like some of my favorites. I'd like I like the private play, but I also like the public aspect of it when I can drag somebody in from the side and be like, hey, let's do this together.
Is it like putting on a show? Because that's what I like about it.
Yeah,
is
I
it's
like
putting
the
on
show. Yeah, I like
Okay.
to see like how everybody else reacts, and you can see who really like connects with what you're doing, and you know the people that don't really hang around to watch. So everybody's
That's
kind of
true.
engaged, and like
You
they
can
all have an
feed off their
interest.
energy
Yeah.
too, and then like people applaud afterwards. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. So what about you?
As far as what?
What you've done so far, and something that was your favorite?
I'm still kind of new to it, so she has actually introduced me to a lot of stuff that I never thought was possible, and
Why
it's-
didn't you think it was possible?
I
Just
kind
something
of
that you thought that you weren't going to be open to?
right. I
Okay.
kind of gave up hope after a while for searching for a mistress for so long, and then she came along, which was wonderful, and kind of opened up things to me and kind of dragged me to places that I didn't want to go. But in the long run, it was like the right move because it definitely got me more involved in the scenes and stuff like that. So in the long run, it was good because I definitely met some good people and stuff like that. And I myself, like, if I was, not with her as a slave, I would definitely not, venture out and do it by myself. So it's always good to have like someone there with you, trying to push you to, explore your fantasies and everything like that. I mean, if you can do it by yourself, God bless you, but that's not what I can do. So.
Well, let's talk about you two's relationship. So, like, what do you guys do? How does it go? You.
Do you want to go?
Because I have, my regular life and then I have this life. And although the two are pretty closely combined because they do this professionally, so, we play off a lot of each other as friends, like very close friends. And then I just don't ever really fall out of that mindset. So occasionally I have to reel him back in and be like, wait a second, hold on. But we get to play, like, having my own play space does help, and we do like a lot of exploring. He attends events with me.
Events that your dungeon holds or outside of?
Some of them that the collective hold, and then also munches, like local munches and things like that. I try and be involved with the community because it's easy. It's too easy in my like profession to get separated and kind of, just be caught up.
I was super nervous going to those.
Yeah, actually, I
should-
think that was the worst thing for him. But we keep, we're like very close friends. Like if my car had a flat tire, I know he would come get me, and it wasn't because he was my slave.
Sure.
So,
Very true.
I just keep the lines pretty clear most of the time.
It's very clear cut. Like she lets me do my things, like, enjoy my life outside the lifestyle, which is good. Because it's definitely not like a 24/7 thing, So like
You're talking about not having to ask for permission for things,
I still do that time
Okay.
to time, like
depending on what
right.
it is.
Because I know, like I don't want to get like involved in her life like 24/7, So like we still text and talk every day, and she definitely has like rules and standards for me and things like that, which I want. So I mean, like she's definitely taught me a lot as far as being a slave and like where I stand and what she expects and that type of things. So it's definitely come a long way. So like 4 years ago, I would have never pictured myself in the position that I'm in now, but I'm like grateful that I am. So it's like a breath of fresh air.
But you said that you were looking for a mistress for many years.
Correct. Yeah. So like I've had my flings, but it was always like short term. Mm-hmm. And
You're talking about play partners?
Yeah, she knows that too. I've told her, that I've like explored opportunities with other people to kind of play and stuff like that. But after a while, it just kind of the excitement wears off, and you just want the real thing, and that's hard to come by.
What do you mean the real thing?
Someone that knows what they're doing, what they want, what they expect of you. Someone that kind of draws everything out for you. So
were you not running into dominant women? Is that what it was? Were they more like switches?
No, I was. It was people that said they were, and then when I met them, things didn't really add up. I thought I was kind of being catfished in a way. I mean, like, I was used a couple times, you know, like these things kind of happen and people just kind of fall off, and, you know, it's rough. But I mean, I definitely knew what I wanted to get out of the lifestyle, which I have now. And, you know, I couldn't be more than happy. I'm on like cloud 9. So.
And so you just weren't finding that before with the other
Yeah,
ones?
it was, like I said, like I've been searching for about like 15 years about.
Yeah.
So it's like I've come a long way. I've learned a lot throughout the process, you know, so things definitely come, you know, and go. You go through hardships and you go through, you know, moments that you never forget. So, and, you know, it all adds up, and now I'm here. So it worked out in the end.
So how do you go over things with your slave, like expectations? Is it before you agree to have them as your slave?
So I always have a set group of parameters. My biggest thing is because I've done this for so long, I weed out people by, this is what you're going to do for me. I want your list of your interests and, you know, your health problems. I get all the information so I know what their thing is. But really, you're going to have to weed my garden. And
Which I've done.
yeah.
Yard work for.
You know, or you got to come in and clean the dungeon after my sessions, or, you know, I have places to be. So I make it very clear that this isn't about me playing with you. This is about how you're going to serve me, and then the play is a reward. And so with certain things, I mean, everybody has hard limits. So there's, you know, slaves I just wouldn't take on because I can't cater to your fetish. So it's not mutually beneficial. And let's be honest, this is not, you know, slavery is consensual unless I'm kidnapping you. So, you know, and I don't think he'd be a hard one to do that too. So I usually kind of lay down what I expect out of them. And then as it progresses, I can tailor it towards each, because I like to see improvement. I'm one of those, like, you're like my project. Let's see how smart and good we can make you. So as time goes on, then I add to that. And a lot of times people are like, oh, you're so nice in the beginning. And I'm like, and then, like, I feel that you've gotten to a comfortable point where we're good friends and where we understand each other. And now the dynamic's about to change.
That's where we're kind of at right now. We've kind of reached that point to where she knows I pretty much drop anything that I'm doing to come cater to her and, you know, help her out and stuff like that, which is completely okay in my world. Like, of course, I'm not going to jeopardize, you know, my job or anything like that, which she understands. But, like, in the moment or the heat of the moment, I always ask her permission and stuff like that, and, you know, what she, you know, expects out of me. So.
And her opinion on things, of course.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you value her opinion.
Right, exactly. So, no, she's definitely taught me more than I could have ever imagined. So, and now we're kind of getting to that point in the road where she wants more out of me as a slave, which I definitely am trying my best at.
So you become more demanding.
Right. Because I find you can't, I've done this for so long and I've been so involved and,
How
you know.
long?
Over 12 years, 13 years now. That, you know, when you walk in, a lot of people don't really have that gauge of experience, and so they feel used unless they have already developed a relationship with you. And while I feel free to use you, that's great. I don't want somebody to feel like they're undervalued, you know, because I don't feel like you should always feel valued in this, because if you don't, then I feel like your standards drop and you kind of can slip into a place where people can take advantage of you. So I try and build them up, and then I'll flip the switch on them once I know that that they can handle it, and that also too that they are not feeling like I'm setting them up for failure.
So what's your story about becoming a pro? Like, how did it go over the course of the last 12 years?
So I started out when I went to college in Arizona. I had a few clients, and it was to pay for school, you know.
Okay.
And
So this is when you started topping.
Yeah, it was when I started topping, and I had run into a couple of dom guys because I thought that that would be a really great relationship to engage in, and I was like, wow, you don't know what you're doing at all, and you're kind of dangerous. So I'm like, I could maybe do this, and so then I was like, all right. So I, had a few like private, no, more than a few, but like private encounters with like some people I had actually met off of Collar Space, which used to be Collar Me, I think, and Alt, which
Is now
used to be
BDSM.com.
yeah,
Yeah, they
something.
keep switching everything.
But nobody can pick a name. And so I saw a few of those clients, and then I came here, and I definitely got the impression from some of the bigger like names. They're like, it's really hard and this and that. And so I started doing some research and going to some parties, and I started doing like demos for some of the dungeons, like electrical and safety demos, because education-wise, like I had BDSM'd myself to death. I was like, all right, I've read every book, I've taken every class that's been available, I've tried everything. And then I just decided one day, I was like, there's like a demand for this, and I like it, and this might work out for me. So I started, and I rented at some of the dungeons in the city, and then eventually...
While you were in college?
I just graduated college, so I was just fresh out of college when I started proing. And eventually I just, because at first I kind of thought like maybe it'll work for 6 months or a year. And then it just kept going until I took a couple of breaks, and then I finally was like, well, I'm sick of driving to Chicago. It's time to open a space.
So where's your space now?
We're in Naperville. And I put it right center. Basically, I put right in the center of where all the people were like, I don't want to drive from here. And I was like, that's perfect. Because now people have like options. They don't have to drive from Joliet or Naperville all the way to Chicago.
And so is that the only place that you play at?
I will occasionally go into the city and rent out a dungeon for specific or longer sessions, or sessions that maybe have equipment that my dungeon doesn't have, there's few and far between things that we don't have. But some of the suspension stuff I would go into the city for. Just because we don't have that high of a ceiling. So if you get him in there, I could suspend him, but he's only going to be 6 inches off the ground.
Sure.
So.
Well, with the dungeon, like how did you decide you were going to run something? Did you go in business with somebody? Was there like a partner?
So I had a friend say, listen, I know this, because I had said, if you see a room, ever in Naperville, or
You
Aurora.
were thinking that?
Yeah, I had always wanted one. And actually, I'd had people offer to buy me places before, but I didn't want to be obligated to anybody.
Sure.
And they were like, come in and see this room. And I was like, oh, this is a big fat waste of my time. This is an office space. It's not going to work. And I walked in, and the room was painted black ceiling, red walls, and there was chains hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah,
and I was like...
Well, what was it before?
Well, they had said...
We try to figure this out.
They had said that it was a recording studio and a photography studio. And that's just not true. It was either a porn studio or it was somebody's dungeon.
Like, who has chain? Like, there's literally like what, like chain links.
There's like 4
hanging-
chains hanging from the ceiling when you walked in, and they were like, my friend that had told me was like, I told you, and I was like, yes, you did. I was like, all I have to do is move the furniture.
I was going to say, so you didn't have to change the decor. It was just ready to go.
No,
for
when
you.
people walk in, they're like, oh, this must have taken. I was like, it came like that. I
So
was
it's
like,
just meant to be.
yeah, there was rivets in the wall.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, like, it looked like you could do some intricate bondage from wall to wall, which I do. I use them for. So everything was, like, set. It was like a calling. And so I just was like, all right, I'm going to do it.
And how long ago did you open?
So we opened just before the beginning of this summer. And I was really kind of expecting it to be, like, a slow summer.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't been. So
Yeah,
it's worked out well.
He said that you guys had a one play party, like the first one, was it? And you had a really good show, like people showing up.
Yeah, we did. And actually, it was more the community.
She was freaking out. She thought no one was going to come.
I was
And then,
like,
it
nobody's
was
gonna
like
come here.
8:30 and no one was there. Like, we were all setting up. But
Right, and nobody ever actually shows up for the first half hour of any play party, but in my head, I was like, oh. So, but it was great,
interesting.
yeah.
That's for sure.
More people than I guess I would have expected in that area, but I guess Naperville's also kind of famous for being a kinky area.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I guess they have the biggest, statistically, the biggest swinger population in the United
Oh, wow.
States.
That's interesting.
So that, while that's not necessarily BDSM, it is adjacent.
Sure. So then how do you get new clients?
So I do, a lot of it's word of mouth, and then I also am listed on, Dickie Virgin and the Adult Directory, and Eros, and I do keep up with the sites. I do a lot of social media. I'm one of those, I answer every email, even if I'm like,
Very true.
as long as there's some sort of content to it, because I find a lot of the time people just want to be comfortable with you before they come in. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 emails, and I'm okay with that, as long as it doesn't run away with the things. So that's how I bring in a lot of my clientele. And then a lot of my clientele have kind of stuck with me from the beginning.
For how many years? I don't know how long you've been in Chicago.
So probably 10 years.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, some of them have seen, we've watched each other age together and go. And when I take my breaks, they're always the ones that email me, "Are you going to be coming back?" I'm like, "Yeah," because every so often I need a break because it is pretty encapsulating.
I was saying the same thing to him. Like it gets old after a while, and then you need to relive it again.
Yeah.
So a little break.
Gotta keep things
helps.
fresh, kind of
Yeah,
take a
absolutely.
breather for a
Well,
minute.
because you don't want it to feel like a job.
Right.
You're supposed to enjoy it. You
Right.
know, if I'm doing something I don't like doing, there's no point. I'm not going to just do it for money.
Exactly.
I mean, that's fine, but it's just, you don't need to do that.
This is one of those things that gives you give too much of yourself just to do it for the money.
Mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't just do it for the money.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like, you have to enjoy it.
yeah, you get too close to people, I have to be engaged in it, and if that's why I think we all need a break every so often. It's because when you start feeling disconnected, that's when I usually am I'm going to take a 2-month sabbatical.
Well, is there anything in particular that makes you feel like you need a break? Maybe it's something strange you've seen, anything disturbing?
There is in 10 years here in Chicago, I've run across a few people that you're like, wow, you are inappropriate as they come, and I might need a break after you. And I think there's only ever been one client where I was like, I think I'm taking a couple weeks off after this. So it's also a client that I would never
See again.
see again. No, it wasn't anything horrible, but I was not
Yeah,
impressed
she's
with your
telling me.
behavior.
She tells me all her stories afterwards, and
Yeah.
tells me what goes
He gets
on.
the
I get that aftermath.
the vague description that comes afterwards.
Which I never understood. I pretty much set up her dungeon and everything like that with her. Well, she was doing other stuff, but I pretty much did pretty much a lot.
Yeah, assembled the equipment.
Yeah. So, and I never really imagined kind of what went into it. So I always thought, oh, it's it's been there. So. But then after that, I kind of saw from her aspect, how the whole world is around it and everything like that. And it's definitely interesting from her point of view. So, and she goes through a lot. So, I'm always there whenever she needs to talk my ear off about something.
So why are you vague with the descriptions of the scenes?
So a lot of my clients require a certain level of privacy.
Of course.
And I've seen clients that have been in movies and things like that. So anytime you get too descriptive, you always run that risk of them hearing their own story. You never know what people tweet or write on their Facebook, and things go viral. So even I feel like if they have something that's super specific or something that's super private, I don't want them reading that on the back end and being like, oh wow, somebody betrayed me, even though they didn't give away my name, because I know they would still feel exposed. And some of them, really do warrant that amount of privacy because of their jobs.
And what about a bad situation? How do you stay safe? Has anything ever happened?
We have security on the premises, so if something was to go wrong, I have somebody on the premises. They just aren't. We don't have people in the room or cameras or anything like that. I've done it for long enough where if I feel as though something isn't right, I would just address it immediately before I felt like something was going wrong. And for the most part, in most sessions, with the exception of a few, people are tied up. So once we have you there and you're tied up and you're kind of at my mercy, I'm kind of, in control of the situation. I've only ever had in 10 years 2 clients where I was like, wow, you'll never come back here again. And nobody has ever been aggressive. Some people just, I think they misconstrue no matter how many times you tell them that I am not an escort. They still think that maybe there is a chance. And there is not. I always tell people, I'm like, if there was a price, baby, you could not afford it. So.
But they think they can still push for it.
Well, I think a lot of the time some people will think once they have you there,
Okay.
then maybe like,
The ice is broken.
yeah, the ice is broken, and see how good I've been, and
Sure.
see how nice I am, and I'm cute, and I'm young, and I'm blah, blah, blah. And no.
So it's not necessarily that they were doing anything like or wanting something that's disturbing to you.
Right.
It's just that aspect.
Yes, I would say overall in my entire experience, I've probably had one session that it was disturbing. And I was like, oh man. And I actually had him blacklisted from every place that I worked.
Okay.
So, and he didn't like hurt me in any fashion. I don't want to convey that, but the whole situation, it was just one of those people. It was like, no, this was not healthy. So I'm all about the healthy.
Well, sure, but like, did you feel scared?
He was actually really intimidating. He did continue to call me, and I did actually have to tell
Okay.
him, if you continue to call me, I'm going to have to call the police on you.
So it got to be a problem.
Yes, but his mother called during the session.
Oh, jeez.
And he answered the phone. And he was calling me mommy during the session, which was also not something that was agreed upon.
But if it
It
was
was-
discussed prior, you would have been okay with it?
I would have been okay. At least I would have been prepared. I would have been okay with it. But I would not have been okay with his mother calling, because it was very obvious that it was staged for that to happen.
Okay. That he told her to call during
To
this
call,
time.
right, and proceeded to answer the phone and to continue a conversation for definitely more time than I would have allotted somebody on the phone. But I'm not going to
Sure.
jump in on the phone with your mother, who's probably in her 80s, and be like, your dominatrix is waiting.
Well, is that what he wanted, for you to get on the phone?
I have a feeling that was probably what he was
Okay,
running for, but I
okay.
wasn't going to play that game. So
That's a little bizarre. That's interesting.
people get creative with how they want to act out, and sometimes, but the thing is it's acting out. You're acting out like a child, and whether you're calling me mommy or not, that's not okay.
Was there anything that you've done that you wouldn't do again? Maybe not in the professional life outside of it, but still in the BDSM world, or not really?
I would say I don't have many regrets. As far as, the lifestyle goes, I think I probably just would have been more open with it when I was younger, because I guess I always thought I was the freak, and then I would corrupt the boyfriends as they would come to the dark side. But I was always still the corrupter, instead of realizing that there was like a whole community around it. So when I started proing, I was like, I'm like, oh my God, it's illegal. And it's not illegal. It's completely illegal, but I was so scared of it, I was afraid to even look it up. But I was like, but I knew I needed to pay for my books.
Did you think you were alone in it? Like,
Yeah,
it was just
I mean, I
really-
knew that there was in LA and New York, but not in, Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
So, and then when I came back to Chicago, I got much more open, because I was like, well, I know there's dominatrixes here, so. But yeah, I was a little bit nervous. Like, I kind of had that Catholic guilt complex when I started.
So is there anything left for you that you haven't done that you want to explore? Or have you done it all and there's nothing
I
left
don't think you
now?
could ever do it all.
Okay.
I mean, there's tons of things. The one thing that I'd like to do more of is, I think, some suspension, just because I've done, my fair share, but there's some really great rope artists here. And
Well,
you
do
can
you
always
like
learn
being
more.
suspended or no?
I've never gotten completely suspended. I did once, but it was for like 5 minutes. So
And
that is.
why did you get down?
Oh, they just had people waiting.
Okay.
So.
So it wasn't that you didn't.
Yeah,
like
no,
it.
they were doing a class, and I was like the first one to jump out of my seat. So, but everybody, everybody did, even the guys and the girls. Everybody was out of their seat. Tie me up. So, but that was like, I would totally do some more like suspension and stuff like that. Pretty much everything else I've run across that I'm interested in, I've at least had more of a shot at.
Well, what do you do? How do you like learn? Do you do like videos for like shibari, rope tying?
So there's some pretty. I mean, as far as shibari's gone, I read every book, Midori's and everybody's, books, and then I also
What about
attended
the
lots of
convention?
events.
Yeah, they have the convention. You go to that.
Yeah, I actually haven't been to. I think it's ShibariCon.
It is, yeah.
That was the only one that I couldn't. I used to have a day job way back when, before I was a pro dame full time, but I couldn't get the time off. Anytime that ShibariCon came in, because it came through a few times. But I have taken lots of private classes with like rigor mortis and some of the bigger rope artists here. And I've done I've been parts of like assistants and demonstrations and stuff like that. So while I get to talk to the people that are, the top of the game, I'm often the one handing them the things.
Well, if somebody wanted that, would you bring someone in then?
If they wanted like full suspension, I would bring somebody in. Probably not at no additional cost because I would be getting to learn. And then go through with them. I can do like most light suspension, but there's like, if you've ever seen the spider web, where people are actually like bound in the web and stuff like that, is stuff that I would have to bring somebody in for. I don't think my skills in that area are as high as some of the people that are out there.
So what about the people that are working for you? Does everyone have their own specialty? And
They do, for sure. He's met Goddess Nikki, and so everybody has kind of their own thing that they enjoy. And I try not to push people to do things that they don't enjoy, because then it becomes a job for them, and it's hard. I mean, there's certain things that every dame is required to do where you just can't be a pro dame. But for the most part, nobody is obligated to do anything that they don't feel comfortable doing. We do a lot of education. If somebody wants electro, I have a dame that doesn't do that. They just bring me in for that part of the session. If they really want their session with her, but they really want that kind of play. So we find ways to work around it to accommodate the people that come in from the community and like our clients. So, and we usually, for the most part, don't run into a whole lot of problems with, being like, I don't do that kind of play, but I have this mistress that would come in and engage in that play, amidst our session. And then I just kind of let them take the lead, and I do that specific thing for them. A lot of women, they want to come in and they only do one thing, and it doesn't really, you have to be able to cater to kind of a broader.
so what would you say are the different things that you would need somebody to be able to do?
I would say for me, shibari, I don't do suspension. I'll do some light needle play, but I don't do heavier needle play just because I don't have a piercing license. I do have a medical background.
But if like you were gonna hire somebody, or your current employees that you have, like what would they need to be proficient in
I
order
would
to-
say, so if you were going to come in, if I was going to hire you, you'd have to be, let's say, I would say you have to have at least CPR aware, first of all.
Yeah, safety for sure.
And then, so I would say they have to be able to do CBT. It's a big one. I always tell people, I know that you might not like foot fetish, but it is a big part of this job. Corporal. And I like them to have some sort of a medical background, even if it isn't necessarily like sounding or something along those lines. But there's a lot of medical fetishists where they want you to be able to take their history, and they want to be able to have their temperature taken and stuff like that.
So role playing.
Yeah, like the role playing, teachers and bosses, you get a lot of that. So you have to be able to kind of jump into the roles. I like if people can do electro because it's in high demand. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the background, so I'm willing to teach people. And then if but it is one of the few things that people can physically be unable to do if they have pacemakers and implants and things. So I just
So-
work around that.
Your mistress, she doesn't like to do it. Is it she just doesn't want to? She doesn't want to learn?
No, she has some limitations
Okay.
where she could do electroplay, but we just don't mess around with it because, like the feeling can be diminished in like your fingertips and things like that, and it's pretty important to be able to feel what you're doing.
Absolutely. What about the traveling dominatrixes that you bring in?
So a lot of them have their own specialties. Lacey Sedona came in recently, and she has her specialty is humiliation. Mistress Katya came in recently, and she does sensual domination. So they're the two polar opposites. So I tend to bring in people. I try and pick out things that they're like highlighted for, and then they usually run their sessions based on that. And a lot of the time we end up 2 or 3 of us in a session. So
Well, do they contact you to be?
most of the time they do, unless there's somebody specifically. And I haven't had this location long enough to have somebody I really wanted to pick out of the thing that I've seen has been on tour.
Well, what about when you were renting spaces? Did you also work with other people? Or was it just you?
I did work with other people. Occasionally they would ask if they would see like one of the dames that worked there, and they would say, well, would you double with them? And so I would speak with them privately, and most of the time people are open to it. There is a few people that only double with certain other people because they have a good dynamic and they like to keep that. So, but I did work with, several of the mistresses in the Chicagoland area that worked out of their dungeons or that were employed by the house.
Do you try to pick people then where it's not necessarily something that you do? So then you can tell your clients, hey, I have somebody coming in. This is what she does.
I do. I try and keep it like as a wider like options for them, because if you have 2 people, so unless it's a particular fetish where they really want like a fetish focused session, a lot of the time when people have 2 dames, they want like the variety and they want us to play back and forth. What we say to each other is often just as important what we say to them.
What do you mean what you say to each other?
So in a session where somebody's into maybe pain or sensory deprivation is a good one. Our conversation, when they're blindfolded, if all they can hear is our conversation and the white noise machine in the background, that feeds into their session. So you want to have somebody you can converse with and talk about the client and lead them into the scene. Somebody that'll play off you and not just be like, okay, that's fine. Okay. Or they want
Sure, they have to act.
to add. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So what would you say your favorite part is?
Of sessioning?
Yeah,
or
the sessions.
I like when people hit subspace. I like to watch them float off to nirvana. That's my thing. I like to watch as they descend, and then pull them out of it, and then let them descend again. Men and women both, they get this certain face, and then their body starts moving in a certain way, and you can just tell when you've struck that chord most of the time. I will tell you the worst thing is when there's like deadpan. You're like, do you like
don't
this?
know what's
And they're
going
like, I'll be back tomorrow at the end of the session, and you're like, oh, thank God. I thought you might be dying for a minute. I didn't know. You never changed your expression.
They're just unreactive.
Yeah.
So then what about you in subspace?
And
is
can we
yours?
go a little bit more detail? What exactly is subspace? I mean, I got an idea of it, but
I mean, for me, it's just like, I guess it would be. Oh man, that's tough.
How would you define it?
Yeah,
Natalia?
that's.
So subspace is basically where the headspace. It's almost like being hypnotized is, I guess, a good way. People tend to get very quiet. They can take, especially when it's pain associated. You'd be like, all of a sudden, they could take they could be tortured for days. And they're just fantastic to a point where I have to cut it off at a certain point. Or, it's just a different state of mind. It's almost like a drug effect. if you looked at somebody when they came in versus when they were in subspace, some people would think they were under the influence because they literally get their eyelids get droopy and they turn to jello, and it's like yes.
It's kind of how I was last night. So
Yeah,
I knew that's why you were laughing.
he's like some of them giggle too.
I had
He
to ask
giggles.
her where I parked because I forgot.
Oh, I had to walk him to his car. It was so funny.
So is that caused by like an overload of pain then? It's like a sensory overload, or does it not necessarily have to be pain induced?
It doesn't have to be pain induced, but it is generally when it's pain associated related to the endorphin release.
It's
Okay.
enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
What I think. Like you finally get to really, enjoy what you have been either dreaming or, been wanting to do. And like, I know for some it may not happen all the time, but it's like when it does happen, it's just like, not like an atomic bomb can go off and you'd still be smiling because, you're in the moment. So it's just like, it's just a great feeling. Like, it's hard to describe because, like, it's like if you've been there, you know what it is. But if you haven't and you get there, like, people are either accept it or they, they kind of run from it. So, like, I mean, before, like, I really didn't know what it was until I eventually accepted it and then I grew on it, like, because, like, people, like she said, she's like, people are, like, don't know how you're feeling and don't react. So I was like, okay, so that means I got to open up more and like let them know what's going on. Because like when I first started, I was super quiet, like like whatever I was doing, like getting spanked or something
During
like
the
that.
scene, okay.
Yeah, like during like certain sessions or whatever, it would be like I would have no emotions, and like people could never tell if I was enjoying it or not. And I could understand from their point of view, where it'd be like kind of tough to figure out what's going on. And they're like, well, are you enjoying this? And I was like, yeah, it's just like I'm in the moment right now. And she's like, well, express it, And I was like, I guess that makes sense because you can't really, get a good read on people like when you're beating the crap out of them, So it's like you gotta let them know, what's going on and everything like that. So there's always that communication line, that you don't want to forget about. So, but it's like once you're there, it's a great fucking feeling, at least for me. So I mean, it's definitely, it just like kind of brings everything back down to earth for me. Like kind of takes me back to, that it's a fantasy. So it's just like enjoyable for me. So once I get there, it's wonderful.
Well, I think you are quiet during the sessions, but we can read your body language. So we can see what's going on just by just reading how your posture is.
Yeah, but I think that becomes as you like get more experienced and things like that, because it's like when you first start, it's like it's like you're kind of scared.
Who are you talking about? The sub? The sub is
Yeah,
scared?
like as a sub or however your role is being, but like not the dominant one. I'm talking, like you said, the sub. It's like a lot of people don't know how they should react to this because some may think it's wrong or if it's not right or how they're.
So you're worried about what we would think? Is that what you're
Pretty
saying?
much. So
Okay.
it's just like
Because we don't even think like that.
No,
So we're like,
and
what?
that's the thing. If you're standing there like a statue, I'm more worried. I'm like, are you gritting your teeth through this?
right.
Because I'm okay with that, but in reality, you came in, to see me, or you came in to play with me, and I want to make sure that we're both. It's an exchange, and some people though they're like, they don't move, and
Well,
they're
then
just
what
like
do you
stone
do? 'Cause
solid.
I make it worse. I make the pain worse until I get some
that's
small
what-
reaction.
that's what I was telling her
I
in the car.
change it up. Yeah, I usually
I
zap
told
them
her
with
that.
some electro.
Yeah, that works well.
Or I do
for
something
sure.
that's not like I'll have them I'll blindfold them provided they're okay with it.
Yeah, that sucks.
And then I do something that surprises them, and then you can kind of see if they respond. Because if you do something that surprises them, they're usually going to react, and you can kind of read that initial reaction. And they'll be like, "Oh, I liked whatever else better before." You're like, okay, or "Oh, that's interesting." Some people just will say they're like, "No, I'm just really quiet, and I love it," and I just let it go because I'm not going to interrupt your moment. But it's always nice too when they're like that, and some people know they're like that, to get that email or that phone call like, "Oh, it was great." The next day, I'm like, "Okay." I just wanted to make sure you're still breathing.
So what about personal life? How has it affected both of your personal lives?
For me, nothing has really changed. I mean, I still do my 9 to 5 gig. I go to the gym every day. I talk to her every day.
But you're open about it to people or not really? Friends?
That's kind of, I've explained to her, like, that's kind of what I'm battling with right now.
Well, today you have marks all over your body from yesterday, and you were fine with people seeing that at the gym.
I think
You made it sound like it was just not a big deal.
Right.
So
I think it comes down to a point where you reach an age and you're just like, all right, this is what I enjoy. If you don't like it, tough love. Like, this is what I enjoy, and if you're not along for the ride, then go somewhere else. Because like I'm at that point with my friends. Like I told her numerous times, I was like, I think one friend will accept it, but the other one won't, and I don't know what to do. But she's like, just, you got to be honest with them. If you've been hiding it, like, you can't hide, the things you enjoy, because in the end, that's going to make you go crazy. And, like, you don't understand that until I think you go older. Either that, or if you're already open about it, congrats to you, because, that's definitely something, the vanilla world and my aspect wouldn't accept. But it's just like, it's come to a point in my life where I enjoy it to a point where, I want to be honest and open. Like, I'm not lying about it to people. I'm just not, letting them know completely about what's going on.
is it just certain people, and then others you're more forthcoming?
Yeah, it's really tough, because it's like I have a certain group of vanilla friends, but I know, like, if I told them what's going on, I'm pretty sure they'll be accepting of it because they know who I am as a person. And I've got good intentions. It's just I'm into some geeky shit, So, like, I mean, that's not a breaking the law or anything like that. It's just that I'm different from everyone else. But I don't want to lose my friend because of it. But I'm pretty sure if I sat down and explained, exactly what's going on with him, I mean, if they don't accept who you are for that, it's just like, that's like, 15 years of friendship wasted. So.
But is that a fear that your friend would drop you?
I mean,
if you told them what you're doing?
I think it is, to be honest with you. Like, you kind of have a feel out for your friends. You kind of know the ones that can kind of gauge and that would be okay with it, and then you have the ones that would just be like, "You fucking serious?" So it's just like, it's just kind of you got to pick your poison type deal. So, but I mean, like, I've kept it on the wrap for like 15 years now. And it's just like come to a point where I just don't care. Like, I can always make new friends, but it's kind of like at the point in my life where your friends list of people you can trust is kind of thin, and you don't want to lose those friends. So it's kind of in a catch-22. It's like
need to know basis.
Yeah, it's kind of like what do you do. So.
But you're excited about this, so wouldn't you want to share your experiences with people because you're excited about them? Like, you get to re-experience it when you tell it.
And she's told me that too. She's like, well, why don't you just tell them, that you're testing the waters right now, so it can kind of ease them into
That's a really good way to do it, because then you can see their initial reaction.
Yeah.
If they're going to be judgmental.
Selling
Yeah,
under them.
absolutely.
Yeah, so it's just like, because they all know of her. I haven't told her that she's my mistress.
I think they all think I'm his girlfriend. I'm pretty sure that's what they all think.
I mean, I just tell her, as someone that I'm enjoying my time with, and, we go through flings and stuff like that. Like, I haven't said
Yeah,
that we're
but
dating
a
or anything
fling
like
to
that.
somebody not in this lifestyle,
I was
they're
just
gonna
gonna say.
think
Yeah,
that's
that's-
sexual. 'Cause
And that's awesome.
That's
That's
very
awesome,
true.
right? My husband must love that perception that they have.
It's like, it's tough. And like, cause like, I don't know. It's gonna come to a point where I'm just gonna, man up and be like, this is what I'm doing. I don't want to lose you as a friend, but it's just like, I want to be honest with you. So.
Translation: they're gonna play a board game one night, and everybody's gonna drink too much, and it's gonna be one of those board games.
I told
like,
you
tell
about
the
that
truth.
one night.
Yes, that's what I remember, and you almost outed yourself.
What was the game I was playing? Cards Against Humanity, right?
Yeah.
And all these cards that I got were related to BDSM or my other fetishes. Like, I actually had one. I'm into, like adult babies and stuff like that as well.
yeah, you haven't talked about that. I'd like to talk about that.
And I actually had one about that fetish. I was like, is this fucking serious right now? I was like, someone's playing a fucking game. And then I had one about like dildos, being inserted. I was like, I took a picture and I sent it to her. I was like, what's going on here? And she's like,
somebody
someone
said about-
found you out.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you think so? And she's like, it's got to be. There's no way you would get 2 cards that, you're, into. And I was drunk at the time, so I almost said it. Like you
Well,
get.
what would you say?
Like, because they were asking me about, like dildos and stuff like that, and I kind of touched on it a minute.
Okay.
They're like, do you enjoy that? And I was like, well, I don't not enjoy it. And she's like, well, what have you had? Like inserted. And I was just like, I kind of like played it off, and I was just like, just my fingers and stuff like that. And then like they're all like, that's crazy. It's like, that's a guy's G-spot and stuff like that. So.
That's because they all do it at home, and she's
That's-
just the only one that had enough courage to say it.
And like the one guy was like, he's like, we do it every night. He's like, he does it, or she does this to me and stuff like that. And I was like, I just couldn't draw myself because I'm a pussy to do it. So excuse my, words, but I don't know. But there's gonna be a time, and it's coming to where I think I need to just be like, all right, this is what's going on.
Well, I mean, how many people are left that like you need to tell?
Well, right now I have, like maybe 4 good friends.
Okay.
Like I
And
used
that
to,
don't know anything?
yeah, that are
Oh, okay.
completely.
I thought maybe
oblivious.
some knew and some didn't know.
No, the ones that knew, I'm not friends with anymore. So they kind of felt. I don't even think I've told you that. But like one time I was home, or not away, or my parents were gone. They were in my house and searched my room, and like found all my bondage stuff.
Who did that?
Like my best friends at the time
Oh,
in
friends.
high school.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they like texted me about it and talked to me about it, and I was just like,
How old were you?
like 19.
Okay.
So like they found
So
like,
just out of high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
and like I kind of lost some good friends, and then like we'd catch up like 4 years later and have a beer, and like nothing would be said of it, like it never happened. So
But was that the reason that the friendship ended?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I just
Okay.
kind of, they weren't really intrigued by it, so it was just like I see them from time to time, but it's just like.
Well, I mean, they wouldn't have to have that in common to stay friends. So
Right.
the timeline, was it shortly after the discovery that like you guys really
Some
weren't?
of them were cool with it, like they didn't really fucking care.
Okay,
but
so
there
they
was-
just dropped off.
Right,
at
exactly.
some
It's
point.
kinda like
Okay,
you just-
so I wouldn't say that's because of your lifestyle.
Yeah, at the time.
Maybe you blamed it on that.
Yeah, I think.
Or maybe that was the case and you just will never know.
Yeah, that's true. I think I may have put it on myself for that, but it's just like we still see each other from time to time and stuff like that, so it's okay in my book. So.
And what about you?
So family and personal life wise, I do a juggling act
Okay.
because I do have a family. I am married. We don't talk to the parents about it. We come from a little bit of an old school Italian family, and that might not go over that well. But if they ever did find out, I wouldn't deny it. I have a feeling that they already know, but we don't need to rub anybody's face in it.
What about your husband?
My husband was an interesting story. So we had been dating for a couple weeks, and we had gone out and had a wild night. So he spent the night while I went to work, and I was like, I gotta tell him. So I came in and I was like, I have something to tell you. And he was like, okay, I have something to tell you. And I was like, oh God. So I was like, all right. I was like, I'm a dominatrix. Da-da-da-da-da. And I laid it out on the table, and he's like, well, I have something to tell you too. He's like, I snooped through your computer while you were at work. And I knew that. I'm cool with it. And I was like, awesome.
Well, why did he do that though?
Because with the stupid Google, he had those little tabs that pop up on the Google search. I never think that anybody's going to look on my
We know those
computer.
tabs.
And so I told him, feel free to use the computer, watch Netflix, look some stuff up. Well, of course, there's like FetLife and Collar Space and BDSM and this and that.
And you hadn't discussed any of
And
it.
we hadn't discussed, we had already had relations, so I had already had an idea that he was good with this. But
Just
he's
based
not,
on
just
your
for the
experience.
record, so everybody's clear, he is not a sub to me, nor does he sub to anybody else. But he is kink adjacent because he's like, please don't make people think that I'm your sub. I'm just like, no. But yeah, he was great with it. And he was like, that's pretty awesome. He was like, I like you even more now. I was like, cool.
So just very accepting from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of people that, he's also real secure. They've met. And
We met a couple times.
he is the antithesis of me, where I am neurotic. He is calm, and where I'm, judgy, he's non-judgmental. So he's a good balance, and he sees me work. Like, he sees, because I do some online work. I do a lot of writing.
Writing for this?
I write novels as well. So that's my other day job.
Fiction?
Yes. And for a long time, I did just commission stories. So people would give me their fantasy, and then I would write them their story. Or I would write their wife. Their wife would have a fantasy, and then they would, as like a gift for her
It's really good,
birthday.
too.
So what is it,
Yeah.
erotic literature?
It's erotic, but I would usually, because of my history as a dame, people will say, like, they always, especially women, will give this allusion to domination or an allusion to, like, a more, like, intense scene. But they're too afraid to say that they want, like, the hardcore stuff. And I'll just run with it. Because I do texting, so I literally have people where they text me and I have to think up a story from, like, they'll send me like 2 lines and I'll go for like an hour or 2. Some people I'll go for 3. So I literally will almost write a half a novel for them. But the women are the famous ones for being elusive, and you got to draw it out of them. So you test the waters and you go, oh, do you like this? Okay, do you like this? Do you like this? Do you like this? And then you throw it at them, and they're like, that was exactly what I was looking for. I was like, you told me that you wanted to have sex with a vaguely dominant guy, and we ended up at a gangbang. So let's be honest here. Like, and I tell them, I'm like, just be honest. And usually what gets people for, like, my commission stories when I did them is, like, I'm like, listen, I'm a dominatrix. Just shock me. It's like, I'll give you a cookie if you shock me. So, and nobody ever did. There's 1 or 2 that I was like, I can't write about that. If it's got animals or children or family members involved, I generally won't handle it.
So what are they texting you? Are they texting you like things they want in the story? Or you like asking them questions?
So sometimes people will just say, it starts off like a conversation, and they'll say, a lot of the time they'll be like, I was referred, or I've read your reviews and I hear you write stories. And I'm like, yeah. Because a lot of the time the texting is supposed to be an exchange. Like, oh, what are you wearing? That's not me. That would never have worked for me from the beginning, because I'd have been like, Snoopy pajamas, But like, so I'll be like, well, what are you into? So are you wild or crazy or kinky, or, what are you into? Are you rough or romantic, dominant, submissive? And then they give me their thing, and I'll be like, most of the time people will give small hints, and then I pick up on those hints, and then I ask questions in relation to that. So usually within 2 or 3 questions, they'll be like, well, I've always thought about my wife being with somebody else, or I've always thought about what it would be like to be trampled, or, and then it's just my job. I take what they say and I just run with it, and I get as crazy as I can, and I get as descriptive as I can, and it's more than paid the bills, so hopefully I'm not too bad at it.
So how long are these stories?
So novels, like, I've written full-length novels that are in like excess of 300 pages. Most of the stories, I would say, so if you go through like the text messages are usually 100 to 200 text messages.
So you're not actually typing it out and handing them?
I am. Well, some of them I do.
Okay.
The text messages, like, people just, they're on their phone. I'm on my computer. I hook my phone to my computer because I can't text that fast, so I just...
Mm-hmm.
But that's more of like... So I probably, each message, I think I can fit like 2 sentences or 3 sentences in.
So what is that? Is that, it's not like sex talk. It's not like that. It's like sex text messaging, or
It's
is?
sexting.
Sexting. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Yeah. So, but I don't do a whole lot of the, like I said, the whole what are you wearing and the, like, I'm touching myself here. That's not my thing.
Okay.
People come to me for the stories and the BDSM. And the fetish. People have real specific fetishes. Sometimes they're too afraid to come in. And so that's how they can engage.
Okay. That's interesting. So then how would you charge them for that?
So I work through a company, or I charge, I think the company charges them 50 cents per message.
Oh, wow.
But usually what I do is I usually charge per block of time, because then it gives me freedom to just, like, go.
Mm-hmm.
And then they usually just purchase it through my website, and I can either do it live for them on Skype, or I can usually have like a short story done within 24 to 48 hours if they want something real specific.
What do you mean live on Skype?
So
Like a phone chat?
I've had people like tell. I've actually told him a story, I think, on Skype. But I just can type, because when you do things through like certain companies, you're limited because they're making their end.
Okay.
I don't cross the two. You know, I keep
What do
them
you mean?
separate. I don't take from one to give to the other. So I don't take from the company and give to, you know, my Skype.
Okay.
So I keep them separate. So I have 2 different books of clients usually. So I do it. I work a lot online in between
Our whole
sessions.
world is online.
Yeah. In between sessions, in the morning before sessions, at night after I've finished my scheduling.
And that would be the storytelling?
Yeah, and it's nice for me too, because it's like practice for my writing, and you really get to, when people aren't there, they just have to give you like what they're feeling. And some people, you know, they'll be like, I'm not really into that part, and I'm like, okay, we skip that part and move right on.
And then does that help you during your sessions?
It does, because now the longer I've done it, the more like I will tell like stories in my sessions. And I found that, because I always thought that would be real cheesy, you know, but like narrating what I'm doing, people really seem to like that. And they like that, like the engaging, like feeling like they've been like wrapped into a story. So it's, you know, it definitely does well for like the mental aspect of it. So because you can be more descriptive, and you can kind of blindfold them and describe a scene, because you can't really bring every scene to fruition. I mean, you can't really be in the middle of a park, but I can play in the background the sounds that you would hear in a park and tell you the story of how we're walking through it, and then I take your clothes off and I shame you in front of the whole park or whatever.
So it just helps you to create like the fantasy.
Yeah, it definitely is played into it. And for a while I didn't combine the two because I thought they were different. But the longer I've done it, the more I realize the two cross.
Yeah, I haven't really heard of any pro doms doing that. So you've kind of found a niche for yourself.
Yeah, I like it too, because I feel like it gives me like a creative expression. You know, because sometimes people come in, they really want one thing. But it gives me a way to kind of bring everything together and get real engaged in it. So.
And then back to your husband. So you are not attracted to submissive guys? Like you wouldn't want that in your personal life?
I wouldn't say I'm not attracted to submissive guys, because my attraction to men in general is based on more than like their dominance and submissive. But
Okay.
would I have married somebody that was
Yeah.
a sub? No, I think I'm an alpha male girl. I need somebody that can like go back and forth with me.
Okay.
And
he does that?
Yeah, he's probably the only one that I met that like I can lose an argument with. So
you don't need the compliance. Like you don't need to control.
no, I don't need in my like in our marriage. Like I probably do control a lot, just because he's like, I don't want to do that. So that feeds into my like my need for control.
And you said he's easygoing. So
yeah.
That makes it.
So it makes it real easy. He's not demanding on me, so I don't feel like I'm losing any of the control. So we're like a good match. We complement each other, and we don't really have that. Occasionally, there's that battle for when you come home after like a long day of sessions. He'll be like, "Hey, you're not at work anymore," because I come home and I'm like barking orders. He's like, "You're not at work anymore," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, sorry."
But you just get so into it.
Yeah.
That it spills over.
Yeah. So, and he's, like I said, he's kink adjacent, so he'll play the game sometimes, but, you know, he'll definitely engage in anything that I would ask. But to be fair, because of my profession, I don't have to ask that much of him that he wouldn't be comfortable with anyway.
Is that because you get to explore things with other people? So
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need it.
Yeah,
in your personal relationship.
I don't necessarily need, like, you know, I can get, and he's great with that because he's like, well, that's not something I'm into. Have fun finding that out. And likewise with him, he's more than free to have female subs. And
Has he ever done that?
no, well, he has had women that sub in front of him or to him by association with me. But it's not for, like, he's just not a hunter. He's like, if one landed in his lap, he'd be great with it. But he's just not like, it's not like he doesn't have a drive.
It's not important to him enough for him to seek it out.
Yeah. Because he can see, like, he can come to a play party and play. You know, like, his wife owns a dungeon. So he's kind of got, like, the in already to everything. So he doesn't really feel the need to, like, you know, scan the social media and stuff like that.
And he likes doing that, going to the play parties and...
He actually doesn't. A lot of the time he doesn't, and it's not because he doesn't like it. It's because he thinks that he's going to be a distraction to me.
Oh,
but when we've gone to, like, other people's play parties together. He's not a big player. He's more of, he likes to watch me.
Okay.
So, but I like to put on a show, so it works out.
So you have your writings, you have your own dungeon. What else do you have your hands in?
Right now, just the family.
Okay.
You know, I work online a lot, and I've recently developed this need to sleep that I didn't have for, like, most of my life. But I've kind of just started getting out into, like, more of the events and things like that. We're going to host some gender bender events for people that are, I think the appropriate term is gender fluid now. I'm even out of date. I'm a dominatrix.
There's so many terms.
And then we're probably going to do a CFNM party because I think that was the other one that I got.
Which you guys should attend.
Yeah, I got a lot of requests for.
Can you describe to our audience what that is?
So it's a clothed female, nude male. And it doesn't always involve domination, although a lot of the time it does. Some people just come in and they want to sit and chat with you and be naked, and we're good with that. Some people want to come in and be as submissive as a nude person in front of clothed females because they feel that that's part of the power exchange. Because inherently, you're typically weakened when you're exposed. So that's, you know, the kind of thing.
It's a way to put them in the submissive mindset.
Yeah, we'll get some wine and some cheese, and they can wait on the ladies and have conversation. And then, hey, if anybody wants to play, we're in a dungeon, go for it. So, but yeah, those are probably two of the other things. And then I think after that, I'm pretty topped out for the next month or two. I don't know.
And how does nudity make you feel? Because when you're doing domestic servitude, you are nude.
Yeah, I feel like it should be necessary because, like she said, I mean, I'm not embarrassed or anything like that, but it like strips me of, you know, kind of my credibility and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's like definitely part of the role that I play.
Well, I think it strips away the ego. Definitely not credibility. It's the ego.
Yeah, that would be the better word to describe it.
So that's how you feel?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it, and, you know, I would do it regardless. So it's just like, because that's who I am. So it's just like, you know, what I do. So
does it make you feel more submissive?
Yeah, I would say so. Because it's like, you know, it's like when you're naked, it's just like you have nothing really to hide behind.
That's true.
So it's like everything's out there, you know,
Sure.
pretty much. So it's just like...
Especially when the other person is completely clothed.
Right.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that kind of makes you, you know, realize exactly what's happening at the given time. So it's just like, it's great. For me, at least. Some others may not enjoy it, but in the long run, it's not what you enjoy. It's what the other person, you know, wants to enjoy. So or at least that's how I base it off of. So
is that what you do with your subs? You want them nude, especially for like a domestic servitude situation?
It varies.
Or cross-dressing?
I like both.
I do too.
So I do like both. It isn't always mandatory. Sometimes I'm a boxer brief kind of girl. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, collars and boxer briefs look good. Especially like if I'm in and out of the dungeon and like, you know, the door's opening and closing. So that they can at least have a little bit of comfort. But if we're like locked in to the dungeon, most of the play is nude or cross-dressed. I don't think I've ever had anybody hang around fully dressed. Maybe a client. There was one or two clients that they were like, I don't want to take off my shirt. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll work around that. I just need access to your butt so I can beat it. So
So overall, how do you guys feel about the BDSM community?
I'll let you answer that one first, because I don't want you to be influenced by my answer.
At first, it was kind of scary for me because I really didn't know what I was getting into.
At first, what, 15 years ago?
Yeah, like I kind of thought I was a freak, and like I was like, "What's going on here?" Is like, and then I found out, there's more people out there that are into, the lifestyle and things like that. So it's like, okay. I myself, it took me a long time to get the courage to go out and meet people that are into the same thing, because I was always afraid. But then, she definitely had to I had a sick stomach when I was there. I was just like, I didn't know. But then it's just like, they're regular people that enjoy, the same type of things that you enjoy. So it's like, you definitely got to branch out there and, see what's available, like near you, or, what's around you. And it's just like, go out and, start doing some things. And, you only live one life. And it's just like, if you don't do what you love, it's just like kind of going to pass you by. Like, I let it pass me by for so many years. And I was like, I set a goal. I was like, this is what I need. This is what I want. And then, eventually things work out, and now I'm happy, besides the whole friend factor, which I'm still trying to figure out.
Sure.
But it's like...
But they're not in the lifestyle. What about the people that are in this lifestyle? Like, how have they treated you? What have the interactions been like?
It's been like nothing but open arms. Like, after all, it's like everyone's human, and most of the people think about sex, more than often. So it's just like... It's great. Like,
I think that's actually one of the misconceptions about BDSM. Would you agree that everyone thinks it's sex?
Yeah.
Or sexual?
Well, yeah. That's
people always say that. That's always non-BDSM. People are always like, "Do you sleep with your clients?" And I was like, "No." I'm like,
That's
"We
very
don't
true.
do." I was
it's
like,
the
"If
porn,
you
the
did."
kink porn.
Yeah, I was like, if you did, you would be shamed out of being a pro dame. Like, that does not fly, especially in a city like Chicago, like where people talk. Mm-hmm. We are still very Midwest like that. If you did something to cross that line, it's gonna spread like wildfire.
Oh, what I meant to say was that sex is on people's mind, but as far as like, BDSM, like I guess there's a lot of closet people out there, but they all feel the same way that you do. They don't want to go out there and, talk to people because, they either keep it private or, go to sessions and things like that nature. So, but like the people that I've come across in the past couple months, it's like we're all...
Since you've been going to events with her?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like we run into each other. It's just like, hey, how's it going? And it's just like normal talking with them. It's just like, that enjoy the same things that you do. So it's definitely helped in a way, like to cope with other people and open up to them. And because, if you keep this silent for so long, it's going to eat you alive. So you want to get out there and, talk to
Find
people.
like-minded people.
Exactly. So you can kind of express yourself and be like, well, this is what I enjoy. And people, open up to you. Like, it was amazing. Like, I've never, like, there's some things that I won't do that other people will do. And there's some things I do that other people won't do. So it's just like, it's good. It all equals out for me.
What are things you won't do? You're pretty open.
I am. My thing, like I said, like I try everything once before I shoot it down. I was never really into feet until yesterday. Like I told you, she found that very strange. Because she knows I'm not into...
Italia?
Yeah.
She knows I'm not into feet and stuff like that. So
Thank you for breaking that ice block, by the way.
I told her that
you said your feet look so cute, and I was like, well, there you go. Have fun with it.
I never really looked at it like that. And then, like, you kind of worked me through some things that I didn't know, so I was just like, okay.
Well, I gave him a choice of, like, what did he want to start with? So his choices were he could clean, we could have a session, or he can rub my feet. And he chose cleaning out of all of those.
things.
And that's actually not what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be the massage. And, it wasn't. I'm like, okay, good.
He's a get her done kind of guy.
Yeah.
He's like, let me just get through the BS and then
Well,
I
I
can
think
get
he
to the
was
fun
a little
stuff.
nervous,
Yeah.
too.
He gives you a moment to relax.
Yeah, because it had been a while since, we saw each other. And, I don't know, hey, now I need to massage this girl. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of like you said, it was a while, and then I was here cleaning naked for, you know, a good hour and a half, and then, you know, massages and stuff like that. So it was definitely, you know, interesting, and I loved every minute of it. So
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
He is very light with his touch.
I forgot to tell you.
He's
that.
like, I'm pushing really hard. I'm like, no, you're not. And
He's just so gentle.
I'm
He's
like, you're not
a
gonna
gentle
break
giant.
me.
It's so cute.
I'm like, you're not gonna break me, trust me. But I think because he's so much bigger than me physically, he thinks
Yeah.
that he's gonna like. I'm like,
Gonna,
that's
like,
not gonna
crack your spine
happen.
or
Yeah,
something.
no, that's not gonna happen.
That's just who I am, though. Like, I've always been told, like, I'm a gentle giant, but, you know, that's not a bad thing. Like,
No,
people
that's
look,
a great thing.
yeah, people look at me and first thing they're like, oh, this guy's intimidating. He's 6'3" and goes to the gym every day.
Your eyes are so smiley though. Like he doesn't look intimidating. He doesn't.
To be fair, at the first lunch I took him to, I think that there was 2 people that individually was like, "You're a really intimidating person."
Yeah, they
I
both,
don't
like,
see
came
it
out and
at
told me
all.
that.
They just like and I'm over here like laughing. I'm like, oh
I
yeah.
was just like, you know what? It's because people, you know, judge, you know, like it's saying, don't judge a, you know, book by its cover. You know, 90% of America judges people by, you know, appearances. So if they see me and it's just like, you know, like, I don't even think I'm that well built, but, you know, people are threatened because you know, I have muscle. So it's
And
just
you're
Well,
tall.
and
yeah.
I'm tall, yeah. So,
The funny thing is too is if you'd see us together, you would think it would be totally the opposite.
yeah.
Because I'm 5'3", you know.
Like, we definitely,
Yeah,
people-
you're the intimidating one.
You're right.
Yeah, and
Like,
that's,
if anything happened to me and if I got in a fight, she would handle it. So,
I'm like a jumping kind of
and
person.
that's what's attracted to me. Like, I like a woman, like, that's why I'm in the lifestyle, because it's like a woman that can defend herself and take care of herself. That's turns me on. In the
Just
long run.
a strong woman.
Yeah, like one that like knows what she wants and how to get things done, and like that's why I am where I am. You know, it's like because I love that aspect, and then like cleaning and everything that comes along with it is just, you know, a bonus. So, but
I've never heard anybody call cleaning a bonus, but go with that.
That's like my favorite thing.
It's my favorite thing for other people to
Well,
do. I clean all the time already.
Well,
I have to
and
clean
I
it
do
anyway.
too, but to have someone else do it and for it to be done to my standards, it's a beautiful thing.
Well, and I'm a picky person.
Me too.
I'm like, I've made people do things. I've sent people to the store 3 and 4 times because I'm like, this is the wrong thing. Read the label.
right, that's why I pay attention to detail. Like I don't want to. Like yesterday, I was like, "Well, come take a look at this, you know, and make sure that it's. If I miss anything, let me know." It's just like because I don't want to have you pissed off that I didn't, you know, do a good job and things like that. So that's why I'm gonna do it right the first time, so there's no mistakes.
Yeah, and I think I found one thing, like out of everything, and everything else was
What was
perfect.
that?
I don't know. There was
Toilet seat
something.
was
No, there was some. Yeah, that was not okay. Actually.
Yeah, she yelled at me.
If your dame falls in the toilet, you have officially just gotten in trouble.
Yeah, I
That's
was.
funny.
I apologize for that though, because I forgot where I was. So you know, what was the one thing you found? I'm
There was
curious.
something stuck in the freezer, and you're like, "Oh, I didn't see that."
Was it really?
Yeah,
Oh,
you scraped
yeah,
it off
that-
with a knife.
Yeah,
yes.
that one spot. That's right. I did that. I don't know why. I
That was
probably
it
missed
though.
that.
Everything else looked great. And how is he when he takes care of your house?
He's for the most part he's done most of the stuff at the dungeon because it's basically where I've
I had to
needed
cut
stuff.
that branch down for you.
Yeah, like he's like cut like bushes down and stuff at my house, and everything's usually real up to standard. I rarely have complaints with him, involving chores at least.
Well, what do you have complaints about?
Oh,
Well, let's
he's
go.
he's the question one. He's like, hey, if you say something, okay, but what about no? What about what? I don't want to hear.
He does
There
do
is
that.
no.
It's like he
I
wants to
just have gotten to a point where I'm
compromise.
like, stop, just stop. That's not how it goes down.
But see, like
No,
It was with the
See,
bedtime.
but see.
Yeah, she
That's
did,
he fights with me about that all the time.
Yeah, the
yeah, she did that
bedtimes.
too, and I was just like,
Well, because he's messaging, and I'm like, go to bed.
That's. I'm like, listen, it's 2 a.m. You got to be up in like 4 hours. Go
I told her
sleep.
the same thing, and I was just
I
like,
said midnight because I'm like, I want you rested for, to do a good job on my house and to be okay in the session. And then again, rested today for this. So, yeah.
But see, I think that comes with, over the trial and error for so long with like the people that said they were dominant that I played with. Like I kind of pushed.
Oh, he's testing.
He's topping from the bottom.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like I don't see it as
Okay.
that, but that's what she calls it, and I guess I'm
I don't know if he's doing that. though.
He's
You
like
don't think
a lead.
testing?
He's leading. He's leading.
Are you
Because
leading?
he'll ask leading questions. He's like a lawyer, or a schemy cop. He's like, "Were you? Come on, I know you were really here, And like, I'm like, no. Do you want me to? No, I didn't. Did I ask you to do that? No, you want to do that. And you want me to tell you to do that. So yeah, he'll do that every so often.
Okay, that's definitely leading.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah, she's come
Basically,
through.
if you ask me like that, I'm definitely not gonna do it. I'm gonna be like, no, you already blew up your spot. You're done.
That's very true. It's been rough, so it's just like I'm finally realizing what I was doing wasn't being a sub. It was just like I was just enjoying myself for the time.
Prior to her.
Yeah, me and Talia. So it's
Okay.
just like, I was just there enjoying,
The play.
moment. Yeah. So, but now I have the moment for what, like a couple months now,
Yeah,
and
at
it's,
least.
yeah, it's been wonderful. I've definitely learned a lot and come a long way, and I couldn't see myself in any other position that I'm in now. So.
Well, prior to Italia, did you ask for permission for things from previous people?
Not really. It would I would talk to them like they're a human being, like that. And like I guess that's what a lot of people don't get nowadays, because like people on the internet kind of put on a fake front to people. So it's just like I guess that's what makes me stand out, is because like I treat everyone how I want to be treated, in that aspect. So it's just like I don't know. She said the reason why she chose me, she said I wasn't a creep. So
Yeah.
it's not like it was like I messaged her and she would message me back like 2 days later. So I would message her after she sent me a message, but it wouldn't be like anything, outrageous or anything like that. And it's just like I just,
To be fair, whenever you say like I'm taking on, like I'm open to taking on a sub, it's like
boom.
the emails just start falling off the computer, like in like dozens and dozens, and some of them are just
Yeah, she wanted me
Wow.
to clear that out for her, which I never did. So
yeah. Actually, it's good because then all the people that were creepers, that were real rude or real inappropriate, I'm like, oh wait, I can see that history. You've gone to the dark side less, like. But he was just real polite, and he wasn't pushy, and he wasn't like, this is what I like, and can you do this for me? He was like, I could do that for you. And I was like, all right, that was a good answer.
that's because you learn over time. It's like not about you, and it took me a while to figure that out. It's about the person that you're trying to cater to, that you're trying to grab their attention. It's not like, hey, let's play. This is what I enjoy. It's like no, and I found that out. It took me a while to find that out. It's not about what you want. It's about what they want. So.
Well, I think if you just give yourself freely to what we want, we're more willing to be open to maybe doing something you like that maybe we're not that into. I don't know. You
It's
say?
the reward.
yeah, like a reward,
It's
like the baby stuff.
yeah. It's just like, if you want to try this, as long as you can do what I need you to do,
Sure.
then we have time to play. It's just, to be fair, it is like kids. You get your homework done, and and then you can go out and play. But a lot of people want to do it the other way around.
Play first and
That's-
then.
Yeah, but then afterwards, I'm tired, I'm sore, I'm happy, I'm this, I'm that. I don't really want to. No,
Of your
that's why
swords,
let's get the
like-
work out of the
Yeah.
get the work out of the way first.
That's why I chose cleaning yesterday. Like I'm pretty sure, like what everyone else like jumps to either pretty much a session.
I was completely open with anything because, I love inflicting pain. That's my
Right.
main thing. So I'd love to test your pain tolerance. And then I can be thinking about it the whole time you're cleaning. So it was fine for me anyway. That's why I gave you the options. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have given you the options.
Did you notice that I was dripping too when I was cleaning?
I did,
Yeah.
yes.
She's got me on a strict policy right now with that. So
What? What's going on?
I'm a little eager to comb most of the time, so it's been like only 5 days now. So
Oh, big whoop.
she,
So what? An orgasm restriction?
Yeah.
That's like another favorite. I love it.
It's because it's all they. If you let them do it all the time, it's all they think about. Just take that out of the equation, and they have so much free time and creativity. My other thing is I'm always like, you want to do it? Get creative. What are you gonna do for me?
and that's one thing I'm terrible at, and she uses it against me. So like I try to pick things, but it doesn't work, and she's like, no. And I was like, well,
What are you terrible at?
being creative. I'm finding ways to, get that moment or time with myself. So I hope I've been getting better, but I don't think I have. Like, I'm just not a creative person. That's why I'm a sub. But to kind of cop out of that question.
Well, to be fair too, for somebody that like writes stories all day long, I expect a lot of creativity to keep me interested. So I'll just keep shoving him in the right direction until he either falls off the cliff or gets a hang of it.
Yeah,
So
I actually did some research online, like about creative ways to please your mistress. And,
Oh wow, that's interesting.
So, like, one of them was like, I told her, I was like, well, if you let me come, then I'll owe you a favor and stuff like that type deal. So like we kind of have that going on now.
But you can only bank so many favors.
Yeah, so
Because they'll run with that idea.
she cut that off real quick.
Well, you would do anything for her anyways. So why does she need to rack up favors? Like
These are things that I use for things that he particularly loathes. Like,
such as what?
like being in my electro demonstration in front of a bunch of people.
Was it just being in front of people? I know you don't
No,
like
I don't-
electricity.
I honestly,
Because he saw my violet wand, he's like, yeah, I don't like that. And I'm like, well, we're gonna do that.
Electricity.
Me too.
I don't really care who's there, who's near, who's doing what, because
Okay.
it's like when I'm there, my attention is on you and doing what you want to enjoy. So it's like, yeah, I may not enjoy it, but if it's what you want to see and what you want to do, then I'm all for it. So
Yeah, he neglects to mention that I had two other people up there and we were seeing who
right.
would squirm the most.
I suckered out the most, I'll admit, but I was still there.
The biggest and the baddest, and you were the first one to be like, oh.
And then they
So-
kept it on me for like another 2 minutes, and I was just
Yeah,
like,
you're fine. You're obviously still alive.
yeah, that's true.
So.
I figure I'll grow to enjoy it eventually. So that one with you yesterday was tough.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It was. I told her about it, and she was like,
I told you going in, I'm brutal. Like,
Yeah.
that's my main thing.
"You should see the bruises on me. It's pretty,
It's fantastic. I saw pictures.
pretty bad pictures, but I tried. So
Yeah, it's hard to take pictures of your back.
yeah, I tried. You should have seen how many times I took that picture. It was like at least 20 times, and I was like, I still kind of
But you knew you were coming over. We could just look and,
I know,
and take pictures.
I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you. So, and then you're like, well, it's always worse the second day. But when I went to the gym today and threw on my backpack, like I threw it over my shoulder, it was the fucking worst pain I've ever had in my life. But then again, like it was
well,
kind
you said
of.
your back was shaking.
I was shaking, like
What, you were trembling?
She knows, like I shake.
He gets like muscle vesiculation. So
Oh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so like that's when I'm enjoying myself.
Okay.
So, because I know I was shaking with you a lot, so.
your hands shake really bad. when
But
you play.
shaking the next day after the beating.
Yeah, I don't think I
That's
told you that.
that's usually like a muscle.
Yeah,
Like
because like
spasms.
I was like sitting down and like all of a sudden like my back was just like kind of like a wave.
Yeah.
And I was just like-
Twitching.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah, and you
"What's
said
going-"
your ass was on fire.
Oh my god! Like when I put on my boxers this morning, let me tell you, it was rough.
He's out of practice too because I've been busy the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so that's why.
Do you like to do corporal punishment with him?
I do. For the most part, you're not going to break him.
Yeah.
So I can unload. To be fair though, I usually hold back a little bit with him because, I have to have him do 50 million other things, and I do have my subs that come in for just corporal, so
Sure.
I can unload on somebody pretty much anytime I want.
Yeah, they take my things that I don't enjoy doing. She gets them in a session, so then it kind of takes away from me, which I'm perfectly okay with that.
But you do enjoy that, though.
From time to time.
Okay.
I do.
So there it
Sometimes
goes.
he needs a break.
Yeah, so what you did last night was...
Yeah, but you asked today, like, are you guys
Right.
going to do another session with me?
Right.
Like, you're bruised to hell.
He's trying to throw a clot over here.
Yeah,
No.
no, absolutely. So, I don't know. It was great. So it was just like, I was in that moment. So,
So back to you. How do you feel overall about the BDSM community?
I'm a big, advocate for the community. I'm pretty forward. Like, if you hit me up and, like I've walked into a salon, they're like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a dominatrix. And I just sit back and watch everybody shit their pants. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, did I shock you? And people are always like, no, I'm okay.
The hairstylist?
Yeah, because I told them, I'm like, listen, sometimes I'm like, I need to know what your guys' availability is, because sometimes I have to be in, like, I might come in here and I have a client in an hour and they're like, what do you do? And I was like, damn it, they're going to think I'm a call girl. So I just was like, I leveled with them. I was like, I'm a dominatrix. And they're like, oh. And then the hairdresser proceeded to literally talk my ear off with questions for the entire time she did my hair. So, I mean, a lot of the time, like, I'm just out with it. I do, as a pro dom, we get some backlash from the community, because instead of seeing us as the ally, they see us as the enemy, like the profiteer.
Okay.
So occasionally I've run across people who, they're like, what you do isn't real. And I was like, come into my dungeon and you'll find out how real it is. And I'm like, what I'm here is because there's 50, million people in the scene that don't have anybody to play with. And
That's true.
Like, if you're 65 and you're married and you're retired, where you don't.
Well, it's easier for
Yeah.
women. I mean, we just get never-ending messages and calls.
Right.
But for you guys, like, it is hard, right, to find play partners?
absolutely. That's why it took me so long, because it's like, I'm not, doubting anybody online, because what they do, they just make my job tougher. As far as like approaching people online, it's just like, just talk to them like, they're normal, because after all, they are. And like, some people forget that when they're online. I did when I first got into it, and then I was welcomed, and like, took me a while to figure out what I was doing wrong. So then I corrected it, and now here I am 10 years later, and with her and you, and I couldn't be happier. So
I think most people are real receptive, to me in the community, but I have, to be fair and to not be the liar, yeah, there's been people that have like come at me, even like messaged me on FetLife and don't post in our group.
Because you're a pro?
Because I'm a pro. Even if it has nothing to do, like if it's just like a community event, they like shun my presence. And I'm okay with that, because your group loses out when I host educational events that are free. Your group loses out when we host, parties and stuff, and people can come in and, use the equipment.
everyone just needs to get together.
I'm like, that's the thing is that you've judged what I do before you've even met me. So at
So-
that point, I don't have time,
So they judge you because you make money off of it?
Right.
They
They feel that like somehow cheapens it. There is a very select group of people that believe that that lifestyle is the only way to be, and there shouldn't be like an exchange for money. And I was like, oh, that's a super narrow-minded way to think in a really progressive community.
Well, and wouldn't it actually, if you are able to make money from it, then you can devote yourself more to it, right? You don't need a
Right.
day job.
Exactly.
So you're almost
Do you know-
allowed to become more lifestyle,
Right, I live-
right?
and
in a
that's-
sense.
That's very true, because I am
Yeah.
there. I'm at the dungeon. Like, I live at a dungeon basically half my life.
Like, she told me like how much things cost, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
So it's like, I understand why they're trying to make money, because they have to get $70 leather cuffs for people.
When you
to
walk
enjoy.
when you walk into a dungeon, you don't realize people are like, oh, why is it so much?
Yeah.
I was like, you're standing in a room with $25,000 worth of equipment. My outfit was $300. Your session isn't even going to pay for my outfit. Like, this is because it is a lot of the time, like, people will come in and they're like shocked about, like, they think that what they're going to is somebody that has like a crop and a whip, and they don't realize that we really put time into this. Like, I get there, I set up, I try and make sure you're comfortable, you've gone to the bathroom, you have water, you have stuff to clean up afterwards. Like it's a very much like a luxury service, and I also house like a place for you to have your privacy, and your secrets are safe with me. So
It's your fantasy.
yeah, like that's not you know, we don't do anything illegal. We don't take people's husbands or wives or you know, so I was the first time I caught that backlash, I was really put off by it. And now I'm just kind of like, "Oh, I feel bad for you because you're missing out on all this stuff. Like I bet you don't have this stuff at your house." You know, like you could be here at these events or you could be here just coming and taking a tour. You know, that doesn't cost you anything. You could come here with your spouse and, you know, rent out the space and play. And I'm not involved. I'm just there to unlock the door and make sure that nobody gets hurt. And if you need me to tell you how to use something. So I was a little bit shocked at some of the backlash that I got. And that's gone on for years. So every 6 months or so, I'll have somebody be like,
And then do you explain why it's not that way?
it depends on how they approach me.
Okay.
So if they
'Cause
come
you
at
can
me,
tell if they're willing to
Yeah.
listen or not.
if you're not going to listen or if you're not really that interested
it's
in my
pointless.
answer, you're just you're trying to pick
It's
a
just
fight.
hate.
Yeah, you're just trying to pick a fight, and at that point, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy. And when somebody's really vicious, I say, "And how much do you make an hour?" Because if you want to make that and pay my bills, I don't have to do this anymore. You want to pay my bills? And then they never have anything to say. So I usually, like, you'll throw people off. Because sometimes it is, particularly I found, like, the women, it's because you would be doing what I was doing if you weren't married and hiding it from your husband.
So the women are the ones that are giving the hate, really?
For the most part, it is the men. I will
Oh,
say.
it's
For
the
the most
men.
part, it is the men.
Okay.
But there is a few rogue women that I've run into. But most of the community, I would say that is 1%. 99% of the community is like open arms, and they're very social. And
Well, there's guys that want to pay for it.
there's guys that's their whole fetish.
Yeah.
So,
Find them.
right.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that I think I've ever gotten negatively from the community at all. And I mean, that's like over 10 years, you'd figure maybe 20 people. So I don't really feel like they are a good representation of the way that people view us. For the most part, though, like munches and events, I've never had a problem
Yeah.
with anybody.
So
Everybody's
people
been...
hide online, so,
Yeah.
but-
That's the thing, too, is it's always online. Nobody ever will walk
Yeah.
up to you and say something.
Like someone say something to my face, like in person, I'd be shocked. I'd be like, "Well, that sucks. You feel that way." You know?
I'd be like, I don't know.
I'm having a great time. You know, like just open up and be more honest. You know.
Yeah. So, but for the most, like I said, 99% of the community, like I get along great with, and they've been supportive of me, supportive of my space, and they've been great to like a lot of people. We've just developed into friends, so that's always nice too because you get to
Are
make
you talking
friends.
about your clients?
No, is it? Well, I mean, I do have clients that are friends that we go
Okay.
out to eat and stuff, but just as the
Just
general
people that
community,
are in the lifestyle.
yeah.
Okay.
So, because I don't really I like a lot of people, I know some people just see clients, but I do like, I go to munches and I'll go to groups and things like that. Cause
Do you go just to socialize, or is it to maybe try to find some new clients? Because that would probably be a good way. to do
Sometimes
it.
you do find clients there, but I always go to socialize because it's nice. There's not a lot of people. I mean, my husband only wants to listen to my stories so often, you know. But it's nice to be able to exchange ideas and stories. And
That's why she tells me everything.
yeah. So I kind of, you know, like it's nice to hear other people's experiences because usually I'm the one that's
having the
experience, you
Sure.
know, or especially like the sub people, like sub women and sub men either, to hear like their different experiences. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to try that sometime, you know, because they're always the ones that have like, they're more detailed because the doms are always the one doing it and the subs are always the one experiencing it. So you get to hear their side too.
Have you had other jobs besides this?
Yes. I worked in the veterinary field for
Okay.
years and years. And that just ran its course, I guess, for me. It was, you can only handle so many times of, you know, hit by cars and stuff before it starts to break your heart. So, but I did have...
But you always had this going on too.
yeah. I've pretty much, since I was legal enough to do it, have been involved in BDSM. And actually, when I was in high school, I tried to drag the guys down with me. When I was dating, I was like, let's try this. And some of them did and some of them didn't. So,
Just always wanting to explore.
yeah. I was like, handcuffs and spanking. And, you start with the small stuff.
Sure.
And then by the time I was in college, I was like, I really want this $7,000 sex swings hanging from my ceiling.
So what kind of equipment do you have in your dungeon?
We have a swing, the bondage swing. We have a St. Andrew's cross. We have spanking bench, bondage couch. We also have some just regular furniture that we've converted into BDSM. And then we have all the bells and whistles, the electro and the impact play and the sounds and medical stuff. We pretty much run the gambit. The only thing that I've seen, and we also have chains hanging from the ceiling. The only thing I've seen that we really would probably add would be a suspension rig and maybe a bondage table, but we're probably going to be renting an additional room at the end of the year, and that'll give us enough room to insert those last two pieces of equipment.
There's enough space for you to expand?
Yes, in the building that we're in now. So, and the building that we're in is pretty much ideal for privacy client-wise, and it's accessible from a lot of different areas. So, and that was really important. I didn't want to, everything's so centered in like Chicago. I feel like people just are tired. You don't want to drive an hour and a half or an hour and do a 2-hour event and then drive all the way back.
So if somebody wanted to find you, how could they get a hold of you?
They could find me on the ChicagolandCollective.com. And you can see me. I'm Mistress Italia, the headmistress on there.
Nice. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, well, one thing that I've been kind of picking up on is from the subs perspective, there seems to be two different driving factors that I've noticed, and one is either to maybe reach that subspace, whether it's through a certain fetish or overcoming a high pain threshold, and then the other is just kind of about the other person, like pleasing the other person, and I don't even really know exactly what my question is, but it's just like an interesting observation. Like, obviously there is overlap, right, between most individuals, and then there probably are some individuals that it's more one or the other. Right? I mean,
So what is it? Wanting to please is one, and what was the other?
Yeah, and then the other is like more their own, like what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Getting
The pain slut versus the servitude.
Okay.
The one that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does. Some people are just service based. They don't want you to beat them. They don't want you to step on them. They don't want you to do any of that. They just want to come and clean your house or clean up your dungeon, scrub your toilets, and that's really what they get their fix from.
Mm-hmm.
But he's saying that they're still getting their fix, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. So
Yeah.
not necessarily pain, but like let's say that's their fetish. They're still getting that, exercise.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very much, I think it runs the gambit, and it's just what speaks to you, like for lack of a better term, what speaks to your heart. Like, is this more of a physical experience for you, or is it more about giving yourself to somebody else? And you can do that both ways, but I think that some people really just they're very much into the servitude. They just want to see you smile.
And that could be their fetish.
Yeah.
Is, wanting to please their mistress. So they're still getting something out of it.
Right.
What's crazy is I've actually been on both ends. Like my first experience was actually with a guy. Like, I'm not, gay or anything like that. And I have no problem with, gay people, but it was like when I
love how guys always say
They don't know how to say it because they're afraid to offend somebody.
know. It's funny.
Absolutely. But it's just like, when I was doing the baby stuff, the first guy that I did, or that messaged me about it, was a guy, and he lived like relatively close. And he invited me in. He had like a crib and everything like that. And he's like,
in his home?
yeah, he's like, if you run out, he's like, I totally understand. And I was like, all right, that was my first step. That was like back in 2003.
But what, you were curious about the baby stuff?
Like it was something that I kind of got into, and then I just kind of grew from it and stuff like that. And then once I found out that I enjoyed it, I kind of picked it up and ran with it. And you know, that's been an aspect that I enjoy. It's hard to find people that, you know, kind of want to explore it with you that, you know, are female, so that's kind of been tough for me. Because it's like,
So is there a lot of men that are into that?
yeah, there's more men, and it kind of sucks doing it by yourself. So you can only kind of do it by yourself for so long before it kind of, you know, comes, you know, like you don't want to try it anymore, and then it kind of fades away after a while.
Well, what was your experience with the guy like?
It was good. He basically, it was interesting. He fed me. I had a bib on and like changed my diaper and stuff like that. It was like
Fed you baby food?
No, it was regular food.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like the first thing that I actually got into, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna see where this goes, and you know, I enjoyed it. So.
So was he the daddy role, or does
Yeah.
he switch?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He's which one?
He was the daddy role.
He's the daddy role.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was looking for people to play the baby.
Right.
Okay.
So, and then like I got into that, and then I enjoyed that. I did that for a while, and then
You were the baby role?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like I don't get into it as much as like other people do. You know, like it's like certain things of it that I enjoy. You know, just you know, kind of like the mothering aspect,
The nurturing and the...
Do you do that with clients? The diaper play?
I do have a family, so I will do. I don't do any scat, so I draw a hard line there.
Okay.
So I will do some of the mothering play, but I do have some lines that I don't cross just because of the fact that I have a family. So if I get uncomfortable, you're definitely going to know,
Yeah.
and that's going to ruin it for you. So I just pick and choose which parts I engage in, and for the most part, I'm pretty open to a lot of it. I'm just still feeling it. I think that would probably be one of the other things that I would feel like
to explore more?
to explore more, because I've done some lighter sessions, but some people are very much into it, and that is something that I haven't decided if I would cater to like a full, like some people do like 2-day sessions where they get their whole weekend as a baby, and I don't know if I could maintain that kind of a level of connection for that long in that type of scene.
Well, what does it entail exactly?
as far as
Feeding,
yeah,
changing diapers,
you know, like
baths.
yeah, just cuddling, like having someone there for you, and
What about
Right.
like cooing and like, oh, you're such a pretty baby? Like, does it
I mean,
need to
that
go
doesn't-
into all
no,
of that?
That doesn't really bother me. It's just like, I don't know, it's just something about it that kind of brings me, like after a day, it's just kind of like I want to like relax and kind of get in there and forget about everything. And that kind of like lets me do it,
By
so-
being taken care of?
Yeah, having someone like kind of watch over me and like have things taken or done for me. It's like a thing that I don't get done very often.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when it is done for me, it's wonderful. So, and it's like I said, it's like very, like for me, it's hard to find people. So it's just like, she does it every now and then. I know she doesn't enjoy it, but she definitely, helps me out in that way.
Well, 'cause
To be
we
fair, it's
wanna
not that
be-
I don't not enjoy it. It's
Okay.
that it's not something.
It's not
I-
your cup of tea.
Yeah, it wasn't ever like it wasn't something I was initially drawn to. I was drawn a little bit more to the darker side than the nurturing side, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We want to be taken care of. So
Right.
why do we want to take care
Care
of
of-
somebody
yeah.
else?
Yeah, like which I get, and like I try not to cross the paths and stuff like that because I know that I'm a sub and everything like that, which I enjoy. But there's like that also. It's their baby aspect or baby life that I enjoy from time to time, but it's not like controlling and
No, you're not. It's not
yeah,
the
like I don't ask
driving factor in
Yeah,
a
so
submission.
I'm definitely more like into pain and pleasing you and getting what you need done.
So what other experiences did you have with the baby play?
I've done a lot actually, because
Okay.
like it's like my thing is it's just like you only live one life. Get out there and try things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I went to see Mommy in Wisconsin, and she catered to me and stuff like that. Had my first enema with her. I never had that done before. That was
But
very...
you don't do that with babies, though.
Yeah, no, I asked for it.
Okay.
So she actually had like a playpen out for me and everything like that,
Oh.
and like she did like the whole burping and everything like that, which was fun for me. I actually fell asleep in her arms, which I've never done before. It's like a comfort thing for me. Like I don't get it. It's just like maybe that's why I'm a gentle giant, you know. So it's like.
To be fair, years ago, I had a sub that, you know, he used to be like a fighter, and his name was Andy. He was about the same size, and I actually thought, and that was what he was into too, and he said the exact same thing. And actually, when he messaged me, I was like, send me another picture of you, because I was like, is this the same person? But they said, like, he said the same thing. It's like just very much about somebody's taking care, like they just get to completely let go, because now they're not even just submissive. They're like in a position that, I don't want to say you're incapable, but a child would be incapable of taking care of themselves, so they can really play to that role.
So what else have you done besides that? Was that just one day with her, or was that a weekend?
I went. That was a day with her. I went back a couple times, but it was like the borderline kind of made it tough for me because like I didn't want to do all the traveling.
Oh, it was too far. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I try to find someone locally, but like everyone that's good at it charges a lot of money for it. And like,
Have you paid for anything?
No, not really. I've been upfront about everything that I do, and people accept that of me. You know, like I'm just honest. So I think people appreciate that. So, but I don't know. It's just like, for me, it's just like, you know, it's there, and it's not there 24/7 for me, but I enjoy it, and you know, it's tough. Like when you try to put something on the back burner for so long.
And that's
like,
what you were doing?
Yeah, it's like the saying goes, you know, the old habits never die; they just hibernate type deal. That's kind of what it is for me. So, and it's always been there. I just can't seem to kick it. So it's just like. So.
But do you want to kick it though, or
I don't-
you just accept it?
I don't think I would kick it.
So you embrace it, you accept it.
Yeah, so I try to get out there
And you've had multiple experiences with mommies and daddies?
yeah, so and everyone's been pretty open to it about it and everything like that. So
Well, because they're already into that.
right, and they've been doing it for longer than I have. So you know, it was like
Did you ever play a daddy role or no?
no.
Okay.
Or wait, no, actually I did.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was. I felt like it was interesting because like I wanted it done, so it was kind of tough for me at the time. And
Oh, you wanted to be the baby.
yeah.
Okay.
But I thought I'd give it a try and see what happened. And like I said, I always try something before I.
Well, were you guys gonna switch?
No, she was strictly the baby.
Oh, she's okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
she was really young too, so it was kind of that kind of.
To be clear, she was over 18, because the way you said that,
She was
the way you said that.
I apologize. She was 20. So, like, there was an age
A lot
difference
younger than
between-
you.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
an age difference between me and her, which made it difficult because, like, I think I was 30 at the time and she was 20, so it was like,
Sure.
13-year age difference. And it's like, I get what you're trying to say, like what you want and stuff like that, and I'll try to, figure it out. And I picked it up and ran with it. I did it for, like a couple weeks. And then after that, I was like, I can't do it because that's what I want. So,
But you tried.
You took a shot.
I went out there and I did it. So,
But you're so good at taking care of her. I mean, I know it's a different form, but you're still a caretaker.
Right. And, like, I don't know. Like, that's why it's like, because, like, I told her about it and stuff like that. I was like, I still enjoy it, but I definitely want to be more of a slave and, cater to you and everything like that. But I
Right.
made her aware that it was still a factor for me. So, and she said,
So then you could be rewarded with it
Right.
on occasion.
right. So,
Okay.
It's nice because one of the few things that I don't have a ton of experience in,
That's it.
he has a lot of experience in, so I could be like, how's that sound? Good. Okay. You just have to ask after the fact, like, was, everything good? Because,
Well, then you guys can teach each other.
yeah, you
And then
can't.
you can use that professionally.
Yeah, as in BDSM, it's one of those things. If your other person doesn't communicate, you don't actually get to learn. You're just basically going through the motions. So I'm always like, tell me what you were thinking. I was like, I want to know every thought that entered your head so that I can gauge exactly what works and what doesn't. And it changes from person to person, but you can get at least a general idea of that particular fetish and what most like. So.
And that's how you gained your knowledge over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of classes and books and the standard education,
Sure.
but a lot of it was, you feel it out. My technical skills and safety skills were always there, but the emotional part and the mental part, the connecting and the getting creative is something that you can't teach. You just have to learn.
Either have it or don't.
Yeah, either you come in with like a super great mentor, but there's a lot of people just don't have the time.
And that was
So
what
a lot of
drew
it
me
you
to
just
her.
bumble through.
So,
Hmm?
I didn't
What's
cut
that?
you off. That was what drew me to her. It was like she was like one of the first ones that actually knew what the heck she was doing, and was really good at it. And I was like, okay. I
Because
was
you
like,
ran into a lot of inexperienced people?
Yeah. So like when I finally found out that she was, serious and understood everything that she was doing, and like, knew what a lot of other people didn't know. It was just like, okay, it's like you're not a fake, and it was definitely.
Well, maybe those people aren't fake. Maybe they're just into one thing.
Yeah, or they're
She's
just
well-rounded.
Yeah, they're
Maybe
just
she does
learning,
She does
yeah.
it professionally.
Maybe fake was not the correct word. Maybe it's just like
Misrepresented,
not,
maybe,
not
but-
experienced enough in that line. But it was just like I told her it was. Like
And
a
to be
breath of
fair, when
fresh
people say they don't have experience, it usually shuts them out from other players that do have any sort of experience. So some people will lie up a little bit so
No,
that they can
absolutely.
get the experience.
I played with sub girls and who did the dominant thing. That said they were a switch, and it was fine. And it definitely, like they even acknowledged, they're like, well, I'm not that dominant person, but I'll play a switch and everything like that. And I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. So definitely got, I've been around. I've had a lot of experiences and stuff like that, and it's led me to where I am right now.
So how do you feel about switching?
Me,
Mm-hmm.
personally, I couldn't do it.
So you just want to be a sub?
Yeah, I told her, like, the reason, don't think I'm crazy or anything like that, but it was like, I was seeing this girl, and we were in the moment and everything like that, and she told me to choke her.
Okay.
And I kind of looked at her, and I was just like, you want me to choke you? I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I was like, I'll try it.
Do you see the size of me and the size of
Yeah, I
you?
was like, I'm gonna break your neck. So she's like, no, choke me. She's like,
Well, it
I
goes
like
back to his massage.
Yeah.
It's like I
Right.
can't imagine.
That's
Like
right. So like me, unexperienced at like age like 18, this lady tells me to like choke her, and I was like, okay. So I choked her. And I didn't know what to do after that, so then I started rubbing her neck and everything like that. And she's like, no, she's like harder.
aftercare.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't me. I was like I said, I give everything a shot. So, but like that was like, I was just like, I don't like. You guys are blessed with a gift, and it was just like I tried it, and it scared the shit out of me. So I didn't want to go through that again.
Well, I think it's just who we are naturally. Because,
Right.
like, if I try to sub, I'm a terrible sub.
You can't fake the
I'm
fun.
bossy. Like, I want to run this show.
Right.
So, and I don't want to be bound. Like, I don't want to do any of that. Sure, you can hit me because I have a really great pain tolerance, but, like, I'm controlling the whole thing.
And that's
So,
what I enjoy.
I wouldn't want to switch. And what about for you?
There's a rare exception. So you pretty much, if I'm going to sub to you, it's usually in a demo. I don't mind doing it in demos because
And I've done that too.
I have, for Electro, you're not going to find like somebody that'll take as much
Sure.
as I can, or, but
She's crazy.
there is a few select doms and dames in the country, not even just in the city. So you have a list of maybe 5 people that I would consider having a night of just like, oh, I'm just going to flip my switch for a day. But for
And
the
you
most
could
part,
completely get into that role.
yeah, but there are also people I've known for a really long time. Their skill levels are like at the top of their game, and they're also too. I would pick each of them because they're good at a particular thing that I enjoy.
Okay.
So while I might not enjoy submitting it as a whole, I still like some of the play aspects. Like I like some shibari, and I like electro, and I like some pain. I have a huge pain tolerance, so sometimes it's like a challenge for me. So I would pick the people based on their specialty.
But that's more just playing. That's not actually switching, and I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, I would switch like for the dynamic of the few hours or whatever, but it wouldn't be like the next day we would all go out and I would still be on a dominant person. So I could probably get into that role for a couple hours. To be honest, I haven't done it in years and years, so maybe I couldn't now. But I like to think I could. There's just a few people out there that I think I would for.
Well, what if let's say you're craving an electro session? So then what?
So I actually have a friend that is an electro specialist. So yeah, or what I would do is I would probably seek out one of my friends that's a dame and just play.
Okay.
As opposed to
getting
finding
into
somebody
the
to
role, and you're not going to do that. It's just like, okay, shock me and
let's just do the play part, and maybe you could throw out a couple words if you feel comfortable or something, and I'll play along with it. And if I don't respond, then I'm not subbing. So just move on. So, but yeah, there's not. I don't think I've subbed to anybody in 6 years, 5 years. So I'd have to run across, it'd have to be like the right time, the right place.
Like I said, you know what you are, So.
Yeah. I don't have that like drive to sub.
Well, I've always wondered, can somebody be taught? Because like I date, men who are not super dominant. And so like, hey, if you want to be hit, it's like, okay, hit me. And then like, I'm not comfortable with this. Like so can you teach somebody to be like that? And I'm finding I don't think so.
I think you can teach somebody to like the play. I don't necessarily know if you could teach somebody to be submissive. I mean, I guess to be fair, you could teach somebody anything if you
teach them to be dominant.
Yeah. Oh, see, I think that's harder.
Yeah.
I think that's
harder.
harder.
What I'm saying. That's what I think is the harder of the two.
I don't think. Yeah, because I was thinking you meant submissive. No, I think in a dominant aspect. I think it's harder.
But just for play, just for like not even a session, just for play.
Yeah, I think a lot of people you could put a whip in their hand and they'll hit you with it, but they're not going to dom you, kind of thing. They're not going to be verbal
they're going to hit like the way that you would hit.
No, they're going to be careful.
It's
going to be very light,
and gentle.
Yeah, no. No, and that's the thing is that people are afraid to hurt other people, or they're afraid to like convey that dominance. And if you're afraid, then you can't be in control, kind of thing. Like you have to be ready to like take it as it comes, and like I'm not intimidated by this, and that's what gives you your control. But if you're like shaking with the whip in your hand, you're probably not going to be a good dom, And
I've also heard like they don't want to look stupid because they don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about like a lot of our power comes, I think, from our experience too. We might naturally be dominant, but in the BDSM game, that's where a lot of our power comes from. And I think if you feel like you look goofy, it's like when you're dancing, if you think you look like you're doing the chicken out on the floor, you probably don't feel that confident. So I guess it's probably the same type of thing. People, I guess, to be fair, I always have told people, like, when they're learning to dom and they're real nervous, I'm like, just face them away from you, and then they can't see when you're like, make the faces, because that's what all the new people do that I've ever seen, is they make that, like...
People that you were training?
Yeah, like, I think I heard them, or I have people come in for educational sessions, and I'm like, your husband is fine. Like, don't worry about him, he's fine. Watch. And then I'm like, I'll hit him twice as hard. I'm like, you're not going to break him. As long as you hit him the right way, and... Doesn't matter how you look, or is anybody filming? Nobody's looking, so.
Well, yeah, I've had wives that send their husbands for punishment because they're not comfortable doing the punishment, but they want them punished.
Yeah.
So.
Oftentimes when women go on vacation, I'll catch their husbands and I'll be like, "Oh, does your wife know?" And he's like, "Actually, my wife is the one that
told you to come." Yeah. Okay.
So.
It's a wonderful world out there.
So, anything else? Okay, thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Bound to Talk. Look for us on YouTube, iTunes, or visit boundtotalk.com.